Question number 47 on the reading portion of College Board's Test 5. 47 is a vocab question, so we need to identify, as using line 39, match most nearly means. Identify the word in the passage. Read around that word for context. Replace that word with your own words, your own definitions, your own associations of what you think that definition means, and only then do you replace that word with A, B, C, D in the question and see which one matches the original meaning best and doesn't change the original meaning of the sentence. So the researchers put both the mental athletes and a group of matched control subjects into MRI scanners. So the researchers put both the mental athletes and a group of matched, so they matched them as like a paired thing. They paired up these people. They had mental athletes and they had matched control subjects into MRI scanners. You know, matched, just linked up. And asked them to memorize 3-digit numbers, okay. So the researchers put both the mental athletes and a group of matched and a group of comparable. Maybe, because like match, it's like, you know, similar people, but just not mental athletes. Maybe, I don't know. I think we can compare the two. You know, they're comparable in this case, I guess. You know, it means like it's like a similar person. The researchers put both the mental athletes and a group of identical controls. Well, if they were identical, then they wouldn't be control subject. Control just need to be regular people, and they're not identical. I mean, that's also weird. Like the control subjects are identical. Oh, identical. They're all the same. They're like quintuplets, identical or something. That's funny. Identical means identically the same, exactly the same. That's weird because that's not possible. Distinguishable. The researchers put both the mental athletes and a group of distinguishable controls. Distinguishable just means like being able to be distinguished or differentiated, or something that's distinguished is different than everyone else. So I don't like the fact that we're calling difference when we just want to say, look, there's a group of mental athletes and a group of control subjects. They were paired up, you know, however they were measured and how we compare the control against the experimental groups. So I'm not liking this distinguishable, the fact that these control subjects were distinguishable. They were able to be easily identified or easily differentiated from one another. If anything, we don't want that in a control. We want people to be like, on average, the general population competing. That's kind of weird. The researchers put both the mental athletes and a group of competing controls. Okay, I understand why someone would pick this. It's actually a good bad answer. Because you might think that these mental athletes, what do? They compete. They perform against one another. So maybe if we're matching up the mental athletes against the control subjects, that means that the mental athletes are competing against the people who are just doing regular memorization tasks. But realize that's not what matched in this case means. Matched does not mean, like that initial reading of the sentence doesn't mean that they were fighting against each other or that they were competing against each other. Just because you think that word makes sense in the sentence and we read it, and it's like, yeah, I can understand a universe where that is possible and that makes sense in this context. The original sentence, though, has no associations with competing or competition. So even though, again, you can make it work, that's not what the original sentence meant. The researchers put both the mental athletes and a group of matched. It's not competing. I think they're just comparable. We're just comparing the two. They're similar. They're not identical. They're not easily distinguished or easily differentiated, and they're not competing. We just say that it's like we have one group and that's paired up with the control. The answer to number 47 is going to be A.